Welcome to the Queen's Lair, a lifestyle podcast. Get inspired by our latest tips and information about small business, entrepreneurship, natural hair, travel, food, and even relationships. Stay tuned for another great episode. I am your host, Renee Patrice. Welcome back to my podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in once again. So I'm going to jump right into this one. I know you guys have seen this news, but if you haven't, I'm going to talk about it. Ryan Coogler, as you may know, who is the director of Black Panther, and also the sequel that's coming, I believe, out in November, was detained by police in Atlanta. This actually happened in January, where he was mistaken for a robber who was attempting to make a transaction at the bank. The bank was Bank of America. Y'all know Bank of America has been this thorn in my side for a long time, but we gonna scoot along past that. But the incident took place in January. I believe it happened in January of last year, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, the body cam footage and 911 call became available this week, where people have seen, the whole incident go down. He was at the teller. Apparently, he was trying to take money out of the bank, a large sum of money out of the bank. I mean, this man is worth millions. He's got to have a $20-30 million net worth, I'm sure. You guys can, I'm sure, Google it and figure it out. But anyway, I'm just going to read this passage from ebony.com because I think they summed it up quite well. It said, "The situation should never have happened," Coogler said, confirming the incident. "However, Bank of America worked with me and addressed it to my satisfaction, and we have moved on." According to the police report, Coogler was detained after he went to a Bank of America branch to make a transaction. At the time, he was wearing a hat, sunglasses, and a COVID mask as he came into the counter and handed the teller a withdrawal slip with a note. "I would like to withdraw $12,000 cash from my checking account," the note reportedly read. "Please do the money count somewhere else. I'd like to be discreet." This is what he wrote on the note. The teller interpreted the interaction as an attempted robbery, considering the amount of the transaction, and triggered the alarm on the security system. Then the teller alerted her boss, and they contacted the police. Per the police report, the teller was a pregnant Black woman. I don't know if that matters, but okay. When the police arrived on the scene, they allegedly detained two people in an SUV that came with Coogler outside the bank, and he was also handcuffed. "We deeply regret that this incident occurred," Bank of America said in a statement. "It never should have happened, and we have apologized to Mr. Coogler." Coogler was in Atlanta filming Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, the sequel to Black Panther. The film is set to release, yes, as I said, in November. The thing that's disturbing about this is that I've also heard, in addition to this, is that they had his bank card and they also had his ID. Now, I haven't gone into many places since the pandemic began, but towards the beginning of the pandemic in 2020, I did go to the bank maybe June or July or something, when the pandemic first began. Haven't been in a physical bank since. But when I did, and I was wearing a mask, and I actually was wearing sunglasses as well. I put the sunglasses on top of my head while I was online. And when I got up to the teller, I do different sizes of transactions and everything, especially for business. And with business, you could be dealing with hundreds, even thousands of dollars, at a time. And I particularly don't like when the tellers are loud. And I do tend to write a note. They were like, well, how much would you like to withdraw? Or I hand them the slip, with the withdrawal amount or whatever the case may be. But I have had to say to a teller in the past, can you please lower your voice? Because nobody behind me on that line should know what we are talking about at the window. Okay. So I do like to be discreet with those type of things. So I definitely understand. They had his ID. They had his bank card. So at any time, if you needed him to, identify who he was, when I went to the bank, how they identified me was I gave them my bank card. They had my ID, and the teller said, can you please, just remove your mask for a minute? And she held up the ID, as she's looking at it, and looked at me, looked back at the ID, and she said, thank you, Ms. Lowe. And then I put my mask back up and we went on to business. I didn't take offense to it. I am wearing a mask. Obviously, my driver's license doesn't have a mask in the picture. So I understood. So I don't understand why they didn't do that. Why wouldn't you do your due diligence before you start a frenzy such as this? I can understand if he wanted to be kind of, concealed in the fact that people will know who he is because he was wearing a sweatshirt and jeans and sneakers, just looking like a regular dude going to the bank. I can understand if he didn't want to be recognized. He's in Atlanta. We do see our black celebrities here all over the place all the time, and they pop up at the Waffle House and, in unlikely places. Atlanta has a lot of celebrity activity, but we don't have the same paparazzi factor that LA does. That's just not the Atlanta way, So, you legit could be like in Kroger and see like, one of the housewives or, it's just such a different, celebrity sighting type place. You really could see celebrities anywhere. So I'm sure he didn't want to be noticed in that. He just seems to be a very quiet person, reserved, just very unproblematic, type of dude. He just seems like a good person, and folks that I've known that have been in his circle and, worked around him said that he's just a joy, just a real laid back type of dude. I just wonder, and we have to always wonder this, is that had this been a white guy who came in and was just getting money out, would you have done your due diligence? Because the thing is, you had his ID and you had his bank card. You know what I'm saying? He's not just handing you this random note with nothing else and looking around and he's, looking weird and all this kind of stuff. This is not that. You have his identification. All you have to do is just match. Even if you ask him, can you please, remove your mask and your glasses so we can see your face? That's not an unusual request in this day and age because a lot of people are wearing masks around. That's not an unusual request. You know what I'm saying? And I remember a time going to the bank, this was years and years ago, where I had my sunglasses on and I hadn't taken them off. And when I gave my ID and everything, I was doing some kind of transaction. I don't know if I was cashing a check or whatever. The teller asked me to remove my sunglasses and I was kind of confused as to why. And I said, oh, I'm sorry. And quickly put them up. And they were like, okay, thank you, or whatever. Because they needed to confirm my face with my ID. That is not a huge thing to do. It's not an interruption to do. So I am baffled as to why this individual would not do that. I think a lot of people probably wanted to think that the lady was white or whatever. It doesn't even matter because I think that even in the black community, we are so distrusting even of our own that we just automatically default to the negative. You know what I'm saying? I know he probably, I don't know what the resolve was that he said, okay, it's been resolved and we moved on. I don't know what that was, if it was just a formal apology or whatever the case may be. I have no idea. I mean, we probably will never know. But we really have to. I know that there are crazy people in this world. I know that there are horrible people in this world. There are evil people in this world. But we cannot walk around like everybody's evil. We can't walk around like everybody is out to get you. You know what I'm saying? That's not how. And I know you may have been done wrong. I have been done wrong 10 trillion times. You know what I'm saying? At this stage of my life, but I will never walk around and be like everybody's trying to get me, and everybody's out to get me, and everybody's trying to get over. I'm not gonna live my life that way. You know what I'm saying? I'm just not gonna live my life that way. While I appreciate the fact that they will do their due diligence, but they had enough evidence there to clear up the situation without having to call the cops. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just an unfortunate situation, and stuff like this continues to happen. Even when people have on uniforms, we saw that brother, I think this may have been during the pandemic as well. It may have been in 2020, but it was not that long ago where this brother was in full uniform for, I think it was in the Army. It was definitely, armed forces, and he's in military fatigues, and then he's being held at gunpoint. You know what I'm saying? Like, just crazy things. And you see his military uniform, he's showing you his ID, and it's still a problem. You know what I mean? It's still a problem. So I don't know if we'll ever get past this mindset. I don't know what people can really do. I hope that lady, I don't know if they threw in that she was black and she was pregnant because they wanted to maybe make people feel sorry for her. But that's such a thing that just needs to be, like, you need to be taken off of this job for a while. You know what I'm saying? Maybe retrained. I don't even know, because that whole thing, it just should have never gone down in the first place, and the thing is, you have white counterparts that move and shake the same way, but don't get questioned for a lot of things. You know what I mean? If you heard an alarm go off in a store, right, and let's say everybody started running, if there's white people running, black people running, and the cops see people running, you don't know who's who. The racial profiling is already a thing. You already see young black people, older black people, whatever, in a nice car. You automatically think that it is not possible for them to have a car such as that. They don't look like a bunch of kids joyriding. This is somebody getting gas, and they go in the trunk to put something away or whatever, like just doing their everyday stuff. So it's like we can't even do everyday things without it looking out of the ordinary. And when you try to be as normal as possible, I don't even know if that's the best way to explain it. When you try to just be normal, you end up looking awkward, which makes you look guilty for something that you didn't even do. It's so maddening to me. It really is. So, I'm glad the brother's okay. Definitely, if you guys can Google the police body cam and how he was trying to explain himself, and he was actually stuttering, because he's such a quiet type of person, he's not a rah-rah type of dude. And when they took the handcuffs off, and he was clasping his hands in a praying motion to his forehead, to his face, you just can't even believe this stuff even still goes on. People jogging in their neighborhood getting literally lynched in their own neighborhood they live 2 blocks over. The crazy things. Cops leaning on people's necks and literally killing them in front of people in the broads of daylight, with no shame whatsoever, and think that they're not guilty. It's just maddening to me. I don't know if this is ever going to change. I'm pretty sure that Ryan Coogler just wants all this to go away, and I feel for him in that regard. But these are the type of things that we have to keep circulating. We have to keep telling these stories. We have to keep showing what goes on, because if we get desensitized to this, and people are like, well, if you keep showing, you get desensitized. Nah, we need to show we're not crazy. This stuff happens. It really does happen, and it keeps on happening. And we need to notate every single time it happens. We really do. But I'm glad the brother's fine. I'm glad it didn't turn into more of an escalated incident. But we have to keep sharing these things so that people can understand what it is that black folks go through. The Africans, that black and brown folks, we see it even over in the Ukraine. I did speak a little bit on that in a couple past episodes, and just to see people, you're keeping the black folks back, you're throwing people off trains, and they're trying to escape a war, and they're being told no. It's just it's maddening to me, and it's sad, and it's all these it's tiring. It's real tiring. But I will tell you folks out there, never stop sharing these stories. Share every incident, videotape every situation, and make sure that people see what goes on. They need to understand the reality of this. All right, well, I guess that's my kind of rant / whatever you want to call it about this situation, but I definitely am glad that the brother is okay and that he kept his wits about him and, didn't allow them to get him to a place where, he would be angry, because that easily could have happened. And we know all too well what happens, what the outcome could have been. So I'm glad the brother's okay. I hope he's blessed in everything he does, because he's very talented, and we need these people, but it's definitely a traumatizing situation to have that done to you, But anyway, I just wanted to share my thoughts on that. And, if you want to connect with me on social media, please do, at Onyx Queen Media on all socials. Instagram is my most active. And if you want to email me at hello@onyxqueenmedia.com. Talk to you guys tomorrow. Bye. Online savings simplified. Don't search for coupon codes ever again. With one click, Honey's smart shopping assistant will automatically apply discounts to your cart in seconds. Save on all your favorite things. Easily pay less for products you're already buying online. It's as easy as 1, 2, 3. Join Honey for free. It takes 2 clicks to add Honey to your Chrome, Safari, Firefox, or Opera browser. Find savings in seconds. While you shop, Honey will find working promo codes across the entire internet, and you save instantly. With one click, Honey will apply the best deals to your cart. It's that easy. So what are you waiting for? Get Honey. Download it today. Visit our link, www.tinyurl.com/ONYXHONEY. That's www.tinyurl.com/Onyx Honey. Start saving right now.